So, this morning, images from 1986, 2003, and of course 2021. We are standing on Nanjing Donglu. If you look down the road and try to follow my finger, what I'm trying to point at is the first sunlit tower on the right-hand side, which is the Wing On department store, which was built in the early 1920s. And opposite that, very difficult to see perhaps on this image, the sunlit tower is the tower of the Sincia department store. And that was the first one built here in Shanghai and on Nanjing Donglu in 1917, so more than 100 years ago. Everything directly behind me and off to the right-hand side here is completely new. The building that is sort of faced in pinkish granite dates back to at least 2003, but was not there obviously in 1986. So to put us in a spatial context, and if you want to find this place for yourself, I'm going to go around and show you what's behind the camera. So first of all, most prominently, you can see the Park Hotel, which we will cover in a different episode. And to the left of the Park Hotel, you can see the trees of the beginning of People's Park. And just up to my right is another one of the old department stores, which has completely changed its architectural style into much more of an Art Deco style, and it's called the No. 1 shopping centre. Right, I'm going to jump out of the road here before I die and speak from behind the camera, but this is a great view. So what you can see here is on the left-hand side, the red brick building is a Park Hotel, which at the time, 1934, was the highest building, certainly the highest hotel building in Southeast Asia for nigh on 50 years. And that building fronted the British racecourse at the time, which now is occupied by People's Square and is on the right-hand side where all the trees are. In a minute, we'll swing the camera around to the right-hand side, and you'll be able to see the also 1934 Shanghai Race Club, which is sort of a neoclassical building with a clock tower. So then the differences from the 1986 and the 2004 photos are pretty obvious, I guess. In the centre, there's a large hotel complex called the Shangri-La, with two, which I suppose are radio masts on the top, and the sort of flying saucer building is the Radisson Hotel. The building with the cupola on top is the fairly old 1920s, maybe early 30s New World Shopping Centre, and that marks the beginning of East Nanjing Street or Nanjing Donglu. This area right in front of us, the square basically, is called Tomorrow Square, if you want to have some spatial context. So, we have 2004 and 1994 images that differ by 10 years, and this one, of course, 17 years later. We're looking down Fuzhou Road as it meets Xizang, or Tibet Road, which itself borders on the eastern side of People's Park. What you can see most clearly is the Pearl Tower. The white building, so the residential building to my right, borders the road, is present in 2004. And even, well, what's most interesting and most notable are the two telegraph poles on the left-hand side of Fuzhou. One of those is a concrete pole that is essentially barren, and then the main telegraph pole that's in use today. Those are both there in historical images. So not a huge amount has changed since 2004. The building to the left is new, but looking down the road, you would be hard-pressed to find significant differences from 2004. So now I'm going to walk around to the front of me, to the camera's left, try to point out some other buildings around us to give us some spatial context. What we can see straight ahead of me now is the New World Shopping Centre, and then to its left is the Radisson Hotel with the sort of flying saucer top to it. And the trees then, as we continue panning to the left, the trees mark sort of part of the People's Park. And then this modern building is the Museum of Urban Planning, which has just reopened again after some renovation. And I'm going to ask our cameraman to pan all the way around, and then we'll get to see the southern part of People's Park. And the street that bisects People's Park is called Renmin Avenue. In every Chinese city, there is a street called Renmin Avenue, People's Street. Notice in the southern end of People's Park, the round arches of Shanghai Museum of History, which is quite a landmark. And then deep within the trees, on the southern edge of People's Park, lies a concert hall, Shanghai Concert Hall, which is very difficult to see from any vantage point, but it is there, hidden away. Right, this time the historical photographs are 1987 and 2004. In this case, the most significant difference between the 2004 and now are the trees. They're a lot bigger. You can scale the trees, in fact, by the size of the black lampposts. So the trees in the middle of, and this is Renmin Avenue, the trees in the middle, or on the far side I should say, of Renmin Avenue have grown to the tops of the black lampposts, whereas in the historical photographs they're on about halfway up. That might be a seasonal thing, but I suspect the trees have grown significantly. There is one other difference, and we're not sure if, yet at least, if this is a real difference or just a perceived difference. Tucked in the back of People's Park in the southern end is the Shanghai History Museum, which we cannot see in the historical photographs, but we'll check to see when that was built. Otherwise, that view is pretty much the same as 2004.
「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」 「」
This is Jiangyin Road, and we have photographs from 1983 and 2004, so 11 years separation then. And now, 17 years later, it's difficult to see what differences there are, partly because of the seasonal difference. Those pictures were clearly taken in the winter, or at least when there was no foliage on the trees. And now, as is patently obvious, there's lots of foliage. But you can at least see the modern building on the right-hand side, which is the base of the Marriott Hotel, which is the base of what we've been calling, rather cheekily perhaps, Orthanc Tower, which is the interesting tower that turns through 45 degrees about halfway up. What we cannot see, partly because of the foliage, is the potential for the older building at the end of the street to see whether it still exists there or not. So we might take a gander down there a bit later. In any case, the China Post Office on the left-hand side is still there, and there is still a feeling of intimacy and local neighborhood here. And for spatial context, behind me is the race course and the race hall, the Shanghai Race Clubhouse. And if I were to go, say, to my right about 100 meters and turn right, I would be at the doorstep of the Park Hotel. So for all of these images that we've shown in this episode, we're sort of skirting the old racecourse, which has since become People's Park.